Hey everybody, I'm John Granato. That's Lance Zierlein. You can hear us mornings on ESPN 97.5 and 92.5. Hit subscribe right now so that you get all of our content here at SportsMap HOU. Hey, Lance, Yuli Gurriel. What a spring dude is coming. Coming off a career year, winning the batting title, a gold glove with the loss of Correa. How critical is Yuli's offense to the Astros now?
It's huge. He's old, and he keeps balling. I remember when he first signed, I thought, oh, well, this is to get his brother. This is to bring his brother in. And it turns out Yuli's become the better baseball player. They're both good, but Yuli has really become a major, major force. He got a new contract. The guy won a batting title. Honestly, I don't like even saying this out loud, but the Astros are stealing with Yuli's contract based on what they're getting. A batting title and a gold glove. Now Yuli's lost about 15 pounds in the offseason. He looks great. He's turning on the ball quicker, and I think it's something he needed to do at his age. You got to find ways to kind of cheat, father time, and I'm really excited about it. But to your point, it's going to take on a much bigger role. And I think not just Yuli, but Yordan. Yordan has to stay healthy. He has to stay consistent throughout the regular season, and then, of course, hopefully into the playoffs and throughout the playoffs, not just for this series or maybe half of this series. But, Yordan's got to become an MVP caliber candidate this year, and I think it's totally possible.
And yet I could still see Yuli batting sixth in this lineup if they
even
go with
Carlos out?
If they go with Piña in the leadoff spot, Brantley in the 3-hole, Yordan's going to be 5, Yuli's going to be 6, and Tucker, who is unbelievable, is possibly 7. So we got a good chance here, even without Carlos Correa in the middle of that. If Piña can hit in the leadoff spot, or even if he's toward the end of the order, it doesn't matter. You got a chance that this is still going to be a really, really good lineup, even without Carlos.
I will just tell you this. I'm a team Piña over Piña. So if you have a chance to get Yuli more at-bats, you might want to at least consider it. I know he's been at the back end of the roster or of the lineup with George Springer there, with Carlos Correa there. Then he was ahead of Carlos. Then he was behind. Now you have Kyle Tucker. I just know this is becoming a very interesting situation now that Carlos is out of the lineup and you have a young player where, and I know this is not about Yuli, but where do you play Jeremy Piña? And granted, wherever you start him doesn't necessarily mean he's going to stay there the whole time. But the concept that the same concept that put George Springer at the very first position in the batting order, get him the most at-bats, is there going to be another guy like that? Are the Astros going to say, hey, Kyle Tucker maybe should have more at-bats earlier?
Well, listen, this is all about Brantley and Bregman. Because if Brantley and Bregman have the kind of years that they had last year, you got to move Yuli up and you got to move Tucker up, in my mind, because those guys have got to get more at bats than those two if they're not hitting, especially Michael Brantley against left-handers. You've got to move Tucker up in the lineup. I want to see him. Now, it's been great because Yuli's had all of those guys on base and been able to drive in runs. Boy, is it awesome to have Yuli in the 6 or 7 hole all these years, because how awesome is it to have that kind of hitter there? But if Bregman and Brantley ain't hitting this year, he got to move up. Yuli's already said that he doesn't anticipate returning to the team next year. Brantley's a free agent as well. Lance, this window's closing, man.
It is. It is closing, and that's what makes the Carlos decision so strange, is that you didn't give yourself the best possible chance this year. We talked about it ad nauseum. Maybe doesn't deserve more conversation necessarily. But with Brantley, he's a concern for me. Now, Brantley's at an age where he's likely headed downward, and his issue with left-hand pitchers was a big concern. You know who Machete's going to be? Great glove, great arm, inconsistent to poor bat, really. You can't even say below average, probably poor bat. But what gives me hope is that you have Piña, who we just don't know about. We know he's talented. We know he's one of the top 3 players, number 2 on most lists behind Corey Lee in terms of in the Astros minor league system. But you have Piña, and then you have Jake and Chaz. And that's not just a Nickelodeon show called Jake and Chaz. It's a center field rotation potentially for the Houston Astros. So I'm still very excited because we don't exactly know what we have in Jake Myers and Chaz. We know that the Jake got really, really hot at one point in the postseason against the White Sox. All of a sudden, hey, he got it back, and then he busted his shoulder up. And then with Chas McCormick, I don't think he'll ever be – he's never going to be – you won't go through a full at-bat where you say, boy, I wish Chas McCormick would have put a good swing on the baseball. That's never going to be said ever by anyone.
No, but it may be Pedro. Hey, it could be a Pedro. You never, ever,
what about
ever
Jose
know.
Siri?
Yeah. Yep.